Sometimes I can wear it in a French twist, and then sometimes I just wear it in a ponytail. And other times, I can take the...
Not everyone can sustain the momentum that comes with being a child star on one of television's most beloved sitcoms. Hollywood has a peculiar way of writing people off the moment their initial premise expires, and the transition from ensemble kid to working adult actor remains one of the industry's steepest hills to climb. Today, we would like to recall Maureen McCormick's career and understand why the woman who played America's most iconic middle sister found herself largely sidelined from the industry that once made her a household name. Maureen Denise McCormick was born on August 5, 1956, in Woodbury, New Jersey. She began her professional life as a child performer, remarkably young, appearing in commercials and small television roles throughout the late 1960s. Her early credits included guest spots on shows like Petticoat Junction and The Flying Nun, work that marked her as a competent young performer, but gave little indication of the juggernaut she was about to become. These small roles kept her visible in Hollywood, but did not yet define her trajectory. At that point, she was one of dozens of young performers grinding through auditions and bit parts, waiting for the role that would change everything. That role arrived in September 1969, when the Brady Bunch premiered on ABC. McCormick, then just 13 years old, was cast as Marcia Brady, the eldest daughter of the blended family at the show's center. The series became a phenomenon almost immediately. What began as a modest sitcom about a large, chaotic household evolved into a cultural touchstone that would run for 5 seasons and 116 episodes. Concluding in March 1974, the show's success transcended typical television metrics. The Brady Bunch generated an enormous merchandise empire: lunchboxes, dolls, trading cards, board games, and McCormick's face became synonymous with wholesomeness, beauty, and teenage perfection. The opening theme song alone ensured that her name and image would be embedded in American consciousness for decades. The ratings told a straightforward story of sustained popularity. The Brady Bunch consistently placed in the Nielsen Top 20 during its run, with the show's second season reaching as high as number 15 in the national ratings. By the final season, viewership had dipped slightly, but the show remained profitable and culturally relevant. McCormick appeared in every episode, making her one of the most visible young performers on television. She received fan mail by the thousands. She was recognized everywhere. At shopping centers and restaurants, people would approach her and call her Marcia. The role had become inseparable from her identity. What made McCormick's position unique was the intensity of the Brady phenomenon. Unlike many child actors who appeared on successful shows, McCormick benefited from a property that seemed almost designed for extended cultural longevity. The Brady Bunch was not just a rating success, it was a structural hit. The formula blended family, wholesome humor, ensemble dynamics meant that the show's appeal transcended generational divides. Parents watched because they found the domestic situations relatable. Children watched because the Brady kids felt like accessible versions of themselves. This dual appeal meant that even as the original series ended, the property's cultural relevance showed no signs of dimming. Between 1974 and 1979, McCormick appeared in 3 made-for-television Brady movies that capitalized on the audience's continued attachment to the characters. The Brady Girls Get Married aired in 1981, followed by A Very Brady Christmas in 1988. These reunion projects proved that the appetite for Brady Bunch content remained robust. McCormick's participation in these projects kept her visible and relevant, yet they also posed a problem that many child stars face. Overexposure to a single role can make it nearly impossible for audiences to accept an actor in anything else. The very thing that made McCormick famous, her perfect embodiment of Marcia Brady, became a ceiling on her career trajectory. Throughout the 1970s and into the early 1980s, McCormick attempted to parlay her television fame into film and dramatic television roles. She appeared in the 1979 television movie Crisis in Sun Valley, and later in the 1981 film Take This Job and Shove It, a country music-themed comedy that grossed approximately $15 million domestically. These projects, while paying work, failed to establish McCormick as a bankable adult actress. Casting directors and producers saw her as Marcia Brady first, and a malleable performer second. Audiences, conditioned by years of seeing her as television's perfect daughter, struggled to accept her in more complex or dramatic roles. The typecasting that plagued her was not incidental to her career. It was structural. She had become the Brady Bunch property, and the industry showed little interest in allowing her to evolve beyond that designation. A significant turning point came in 1988, when McCormick was cast in the horror film Halloween H20, 20 years later. Wait, that film premiered in 1998, not during this period. Let me correct the chronology. Throughout the late 1980s and early 1990s, McCormick's film and television work remained sparse and largely forgettable. She appeared in guest roles on shows like Diagnosis, Murder, and Step by Step, work that kept her employed but did nothing to burnish her credentials as a serious actress. The industry's perception of her had solidified. She was a beloved former child star, suitable for nostalgia projects and ensemble casts, where her presence alone guaranteed a certain demographic appeal, but not someone to build a project around or to task with carrying a dramatic narrative. The 1990s represented a particularly barren period for McCormick's career. The television and film landscapes had shifted dramatically from the 1970s. Competition for roles had intensified. New generations of young actresses were emerging, and McCormick, now in her 30s and 40s, found herself in an unenviable position. She was too identified with her childhood role to be taken seriously as an adult performer, yet she lacked the filmography or critical acclaim to establish herself as a character actress or elder stateswoman of the medium. Her agent, choices, or lack thereof compounded the problem. By most accounts, McCormick had by this point become something of an industry afterthought. The relentless march of time had a way of diminishing the currency of former child stars, and McCormick found herself caught in that machinery without the business acumen, representation, or luck to escape it. In 1998, McCormick's career received an unexpected jolt when she was cast in John Carpenter's Halloween H20, 20 years later, alongside Jamie Lee Curtis. The film was positioned as a direct sequel to the original 1978 Halloween, ignoring the franchise's middle entries. Halloween H20 grossed approximately $80 million worldwide, making it the highest-grossing entry in the franchise to that point. However, McCormick's role in the film was small. She played a school teacher, not a central character. While the film's success temporarily raised her profile, it did not translate into sustained career momentum. She appeared in a handful of television guest spots immediately following the film's release, but the promised resurgence never materialized. Studios did not suddenly view her as a viable lead. Agents did not line up with scripts. The film's success belonged to Carpenter and Curtis. McCormick's presence, while respectable, was incidental to the project's appeal. The early 2000s saw McCormick's career decline into relative obscurity. She took on roles in direct-to-video releases and low-budget television productions. She appeared in the 2005 horror film Skipped Parts and the 2009 independent film In the Land of the Blind. These projects, while providing paychecks, marked a significant downgrade from mainstream theatrical distribution. Direct-to-video releases typically have budgets 1/10 to 1/20 of what mainstream theatrical films command, and they rarely receive meaningful promotional support. The transition to this tier of production is often a sign that an actor's commercial viability in the industry's calculus has diminished significantly. For McCormick, who had once been a bankable name on the strength of the Brady Bunch, this descent was particularly stark. A compounding factor in McCormick's career stall was the changing nature of Hollywood's interest in former child stars. The industry moved away from nostalgia-based casting, at least in terms of giving substantive roles to aging child performers. Reality television and the internet had transformed the landscape. The Brady Bunch, once an object of sincere nostalgia, had become something else, a cultural artifact that people referenced ironically or mined for kitsch value. McCormick found herself in an awkward position. She was neither young enough to play contemporary roles, nor old enough or sufficiently distinguished to be cast as a wise elder or matriarch. She occupied a peculiar limbo. Recognized trajectory from there to relative obscurity is a path well worn by child stars. The factors that made her famous youth, beauty, perfect likability in a specific role are precisely the factors that limit future options once they are no longer applicable. Without a deliberate and sustained effort to pivot away from that image, without exceptional talent or exceptional luck, former child stars often find themselves unable to chart a new course. McCormick's career, from 1969 onwards, was shaped by forces largely beyond her control. Industry typecasting, the structural difficulty of transitioning from child to adult roles, personal struggles that became public knowledge, and the simple passage of time, which renders yesterday's sensation into today's nostalgic reference point. If McCormick were to mount a meaningful comeback at this stage in her life, it would likely require a fundamentally different kind of project, not a mainstream theatrical film or network television drama, but perhaps a prestige limited series, or a character-driven independent film that could credibly cast a woman in her late 60s or early 70s in a substantial role. Such projects exist, but they are rare, and casting directors would need to see her not as Marcia Brady or as a faded child star, but as a capable performer with a rich life experience to bring to a character. That kind of perception shift is extraordinarily difficult to achieve once an industry consensus has calcified. The most likely scenario is that McCormick will remain, in the public imagination and in the industry's assessment, what she has been for decades, a beloved former child star whose career, after its extraordinary peak, could not sustain the weight of her own fame.